stream of talking about Sudan and Venezuela. Hello. I've got I'm all set on my. Let me get in here. Dude. All right. So, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you guys are at. It's 5 p.m. Central Time. Where I'm at, maybe I have some folks watching from overseas. I doubt it. Usually all the people who watch me are in my time zone or in the US. I want to talk about a few news headlines today, guys. I want to talk about Sudan, what's going on in Sudan. I want to talk about a couple news headlines in Palestine, Gaza, and one or two things about Venezuela, as we talked about last week. Um, so I got some. Where's my? Yeah, there we go. So I've had some of my independent media, my indie media peoples. They're doing their shows and they're talking about Sudan. They're really talking about all the genocides happening in Congo, Yemen, and Sudan. And there was a disturbing news story coming out of Sudan. How's my mic volume? Very recently, guys. So yeah, I'm going to read that and how we cannot forget about what's happening in Sudan. I know there's a lot of distractions in the world and so many things to keep track of, so I just want to bring this to light. And so, this is from the NPR, and I'll also read something from Al Jazeera, just so you can get two different news sources there. But hundreds killed in Darfur hospital massacre. Hero doctors abducted. October 30th. So, let's see. On October 28th, 6 health workers, 4 doctors, a nurse, and a pharmacist were abducted from the hospital, the World Health Organization said in a statement Wednesday. On the same day, more than 460 patients and their companions were reportedly shot and killed in the hospital. Same day, guys. 460 patients, man. Prior to this latest attack, WHO has verified 185 attacks on healthcare in Sudan with 1,204 deaths, 416 injuries of health workers and patients since the start of the conflict in April 2023. This is from WHO head Tedros Adhanom. I can't pronounce that, but there's that. Sorry about that. Here's before photos, and here's after photos. Y'all want to see the difference there. And videos of the attack have been circulating online by the RSF fighters themselves, and we'll get into that later about who's funding them. But this is from Al Jazeera. Second news headline: A true genocide. RSF kills at least 1,500 people in Sudan's El Fasher. Regional countries express alarm as more evidence emerges of mass killings by paramilitary forces in El Fasher. And this is according to a medical group and researchers. The RSF, which has been fighting Sudan's military for control of the country, killed at least 1,500 people over the past 3 days as civilians tried to flee the besieged city, the Sudan Doctors Network said on Wednesday. The group, which tracks the country's civil war, described the situation as a true genocide. Okay? Quote, the massacres the world is witnessing today are an extension of what occurred in El Fasher more than a year and a half ago, when over 14,000 civilians were killed through bombing, starvation, and extrajudicial executions, the group said. It said the attacks are being carried out as part of a deliberate and systemic campaign and killing of extermination. So, the statement comes as new evidence of mass killings in the strategic area has emerged from Yale's Humanitarian Research Lab, which reported that satellite imagery of El Fasher taken after the RSF moved in shows clusters of objects consistent with the size of human bodies as well as large areas of red discoloration on the ground. That's crazy. There's just you can just see piles of red blood on satellite images, man. I'm not going to show that here because God knows what I'm going to get banned with. But the RSF has been locked in a bloody civil war with Sudan's army since 2023, in a conflict that has killed tens of thousands and displaced more than 12 million people. I think that's the gist that I wanted to read from this article. Let's keep it moving here. So this is from Swiss Info. Let's talk about, so stuff like this doesn't just happen, guys, okay? It's like, there's just some disagreements about some military guys, Nah, dude, there's always, follow the money, guys. There's always a reason why they're fighting, okay? So let's read this from Swiss Info. As Sudan's agony deepens, scrutiny sharpens on UAE and gold. So the RSF, Rapid Support Forces, are committing these atrocities. Okay, guys? And let's talk about what Sudan has, and they have a lot of gold, okay? Sudan has a lot of gold. So, let's see. As Sudan's war grinds on, its gold keeps glinting on global markets. Bern-based NGO Swissaid warns that profits from the country's blood-soaked trade are still finding buyers, chiefly through the booming gold hub of the United Arab Emirates, which is alleged to back the RSF. Okay. Sudanese envoy Hamid said, the supplier of weapons into the Rapid Support Forces is well known. Unfortunately, it is the United Arab Emirates. And I want to read, okay, the UAE's involvement in Sudan's war is complex and opaque. Abu Dhabi maintains strong economic ties with Sudan's military-led government. Yet, the Sudanese army alleges the UAE has covertly supported the rival RSF, which the United States and United Nations have accused of committing war crimes. Data from Sudan's central bank show the UAE imported about 90% of Sudan's official gold exports in the first half of 2025, underscoring its deep economic influence. A recent investigation by the Century linked Dubai-based companies to laundering illicit Sudanese gold for RSF financiers. So, there you go, guys. UAE supporting the RSF. UAE's getting the gold. That's what's going on. Let's see. There's a couple more paragraphs from this I wanted to read. Citing a UN Comtrade data, Swissaid notes the UAE imported 29 tons of gold directly from Sudan in 2024, up from 17 tons the year before, along with major volumes routed through Egypt, 27 tons, Chad, 18, and Libya, 9. These flows, Swissaid says, underscore the UAE's central role in financing Sudan's war. It is conflict gold, quote, says Mark Ummel, head of commodities at Swissaid. Quote, whether it is coming from RSF or from the Sudanese armed forces, it's clear that they are funding their engagement in the conflict with this trade of gold, although there are other elements. Gold is the key element in Sudan. So, the UAE still import a significant volume of gold from Sudan. So, this is annual volume tons of gold imports from Sudan. And as you can see, man, 2017, 65 tons. And it goes a little down and then up. And then 2024, there was 29 tons. So more than half of gold imported into the UAE comes from African countries. So you got a little, there's Sudan there, 2%. Dang, Switzerland, 8%. So, all right. So that's kind of what I wanted to read on that one. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back. This is from August 12th, 2024. So a bit of an older article. This is from Global Research. Sudan is starving and ignored by Stephen Salhuini. Weenie. Sorry, not funny. While the eyes of the world is focused on the Israeli genocide on Gaza, Sudan is facing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis as widespread hunger and malnutrition plague the nation. The Sudan starvation crisis emerged as a direct consequence of armed conflict. There was a need for immediate international intervention to stop the starvation of millions in Sudan. There are more than 9 million people across 18 states of Sudan that are facing food shortages that have caused malnutrition and death. More than 800,000 of those are at risk of immediate starvation. According to an analysis by Save the Children, some 16.4 million children, or 3 in every 4 in the country, are now facing a crisis, emergency, or catastrophe levels of hunger, up from 8.3 million just last December. The UN nations reported that there are more than 10 million people who have been displaced in Sudan since the conflict began in April 2023, and nearly 25 million people are in need of aid, according to the UN. So, guys, this is from August 12th, 2024, so a year and 3 months ago. Um, I just talked about some atrocities being committed, armed conflict going on, but no, there is disease, there's famine, there's starvation, displacement, millions being displaced. Look at this. Because of the conflict here, there is more than 70% of health facilities in conflict-affected regions are inoperable or closed. Disease outbreaks, including measles and cholera, are rampant, with the number of suspected cholera cases surpassing 11,000 as of May 2024. Food insecurity. 18 million people are experiencing severe levels of acute food insecurity, with 5 million at risk of catastrophic hunger. High rates of malnutrition, a debilitated health system, and low levels of immunization exacerbate the crisis. So, just wanted to read that. There's just a little bit more stuff from Global Research. They're a pretty good website for stuff you won't get in mainstream media. You can just search Sudan in their little search bar, and it'll bring up their latest articles. So, I think that's it on Sudan, guys. I want to talk about just a couple of other news headlines. This is from Dropsite Daily, and pretty trusted news source. I trust them. They break a lot of good news. So, just want to switch to Gaza. Can't stop talking about Palestine, guys. So, oh my gosh. This is a photo. Makeshift tents were flooded with intense rain at Al Yarmouk camp in Gaza City, Gaza, on November 14, 2025. Heavy rains flooded tents of displaced Palestinians in Gaza on Friday. Officials warn more than 900,000 Palestinians face a risk of flooding as the Palestinian Meteorological Department issued warnings of flash floods across Gaza with strong winds, heavy rain, and thunderstorms expected over the coming days. Israeli attacks on Gaza have left 85% of road, water, and sewage networks damaged or destroyed. In an interview with Al Jazeera, Hamas official Ali Baraka said Israel has deliberately blocked aid, allowing in only 5% of the 300,000 tents promised, and roughly a third of the trucks agreed to under the ceasefire, leaving stockpiles stranded on the Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing. Tens of thousands of displaced people are living in torn tents, gutted homes, or impoverished shelters and now face severe risk of exposure in makeshift structures that cannot withstand the cold. Guys, I'm told it's getting cold here, and you've got flooding now? Shit, man. We already know carpet bombing, shooting, sniping, mass murder. They're taking them to prisons to be tortured, guys. And let me see. There was one I wanted to read. 3 teenage Palestinians abducted by the Israeli military in Gaza while seeking aid and taken to the said Timon prison. Guys, if you Google this, there's articles from years ago, decade or two, about human rights abuses at this prison. Mohammed Nael Kamas al-Zokbi, Faris Ibrahim Faris Abdul Jabal, and Mahmoud Hani Mohammed El Majida. Sorry if I butchered that. Ages 17, 16, and 17. Said they were bound, blindfolded, and stripped naked upon their departure. Once at the prison, they were beaten, subject to electric shocks, starved, and exposed to extreme cold, they said. Soldiers forced them into stress positions for hours, unleashed dogs on them, and blasted defeating music in the disco room, where interrogators slammed their heads into walls and tightened handcuffs until bones cracked. They were also subject to psychological torture, including threats against their families and attempts to recruit them as collaborators. All three were released in the October a prisoner exchange as part of the ceasefire agreement. So guys, just don't forget, man. Straight up, just kidnapping kids, young adults, and torturing the fuck out of them, man. So, um, that's all on this article here. No, one more. So, on my last news stream, guys, we talked about the Venezuela, how the United States and the West are trying to overthrow Nicolas Maduro because he's a socialist. He wants to nationalize the resources for his people. He's not going to sell off all the country's resources at bargain prices to the United States and mega transnational corporations, guys. But last stream I talked about how there's extrajudicial killings. They're just bombing fishing boats and just calling them, oh, they were narco terrorists. They were dealing drugs. Zero evidence, guys. I think we're over 20 attacks. And I just wanted to read this little nugget here. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced a new U.S. military operation called Southern Spear, aimed at targeting narco-terrorists in the Western Hemisphere through the U.S. military Southern Command. Hegseth announced the operation in a social media post. Hegseth's announcements came as top military officials presented Trump with options for escalation in Venezuela during a meeting at the White House, including direct land strikes, according to a new report from CBS News. The assembly included Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman Dan Kane and contributions from the offices of Secretary of State Marco Rubio or Director of National Intelligence, who were not present because they were traveling. These deliberations take place in the wake of the arrival of the USS Gerald Ford Carrier Strike Group. Guys, the USS Gerald Ford is the biggest carrier in the Navy. Carrier Strike Group in the Caribbean, and after the American military has conducted 20-plus lethal strikes in the region in recent months, and a day after Maduro announced that his military was preparing for guerrilla warfare as a fallback defense if the U.S. invades. So, I just wanted to read that paragraph, and to close this news stream, guys, I just wanted to show this video. Gotta get some baby killers on cam, or on record here, just so you can see their faces. These are members of the Israel Occupation Force, Israel Defense Force, whatever you call them. Are you McDonald's? Look how much mayonnaise they're putting on that shit, man. And ketchup? Oh, man. Just poison food, man. So McDonald's is supplying free food. They're feeding baby killers. They're feeding the Israel Occupation Force guys. So boycott McDonald's. Stop eating that trash. God damn it, it's full of chemicals. It's not real food anyways. Fuck these pieces of shit. Fucking starving the Palestinians. Look how fucking full they're getting. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. So, fuck those pieces of shit. Alright, guys. I think that's about it for today. Talked a lot about Sudan, a little bit of Palestine, Gaza. And yeah. Boop, boop, boop. Do-do-do-do-do. Alright, so I beat Resident Evil Village on stream over the weekend, guys. I think that's game number 22 I beat. And if you guys are interested, I've been working on the War on Drugs is a Lie series. A lot of good stuff about the United States covert actions, how they're deliberately dealing drugs to fund dirty wars. And I think there's 7 parts, and they're all uploaded to YouTube. I appreciate if you guys check that out. I worked pretty hard on it, and I'm pretty passionate about that subject. Um, I'm gonna go to the movies tonight. It's a mystery movie at the Alamo Draft House. I'm really excited about that. Boom. What else do I have coming up? I think I'll be streaming more Clair Obscur, the 2025 RPG, the AA, kind of a AAA game. I started it, but I stopped in October for spooky gaming. I'm gonna pick it back up because I gotta beat what I started. Gotta beat the backlog, guys. So my cats aren't there. I'm gonna be playing Absalom. It's a Streets of Rage. The creators of Streets of Rage 4 or developers are. It's a new game by them, and I think a couple other companies. But Absalom is gonna be one of my most anticipated games of the year. So expect me to be playing that, and I'll be doing a movie stream. I like doing weekly movie recaps. You can check that out on my YouTube channel, guys. Need to talk some movies. It's been a couple weeks since I did a movie stream, so tune in for that. And but yeah, look up what's happening in Sudan, guys. I know there's so much wrong in the world, but try to find a GoFundMe and tell friends and family what's happening in Sudan. Okay. Don't stop talking about Palestine, the Congo, what's happening in the global south, regime change in Venezuela. And there was also some stuff happening in Mexico today. They're trying to do a disinformation campaign on Scheinbaum, the Mexican president there, but we can talk about that a different day. And okay, well, that's all I got for the new stream today. So love you guys, and I'll